You know, O'Neill Sea Odyssey is one of the best programs I've ever been involved in. The ocean is alive, and we've got to take care of it.
Welcome to O'Neill Sea Odyssey. I'm Dan Hafley, Executive Director. We're an ocean-going science and environment program for 4th through 6th grade students. We don't charge money for the program, but we do require each class perform a service project to benefit their community. O'Neill Sea Odyssey's mission is to provide a hands-on educational experience to encourage the protection and preservation of our living sea and communities. What follows here is a condensed version of our field trip on Monterey Bay, and we hope it is helpful to you and that you learn enough to want to protect the ocean that we all share. Now, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Tim O'Neill. I'll be your captain today. Welcome aboard.
Hello, my name's Emma Hurley. I'll be your instructor today for Marine Ecology Learning Station. We're going to talk about the special ecosystem here in Monterey Bay, the kelp forest, and about interactions that happen with the kelp and our special animals, the sea otter that live here in Monterey Bay. We're also going to discuss how actions on land can actually end up hurting the animals and plants in the ocean. 80% of the pollution in the ocean actually comes from land. And we're going to talk about solutions that you at home can do to make a difference to help save our oceans.
My name is Michael, and my question is, what is an ecosystem?
An ecosystem has two parts. One of the parts of an ecosystem is a habitat. Who could tell me what a habitat is?
It's a place where wildlife and life live.
Very good. It's the home, an animal or a plant's home, right? Their physical environment they live in. Well, the second piece of an ecosystem is the whole community of living things that share that habitat. The different living things that live within them depend upon each other. Food webs, which you'll talk about with Keith, are part of ecosystems.
My name is Elizabeth, and my question is, why do we have a marine sanctuary in Monterey Bay?
Monterey Bay is a really special place because we have cold water. We're kind of in the middle of the state, right? So we have cold water from Northern California mixing with warmer water from Southern California. We get a lot of unique species that live here. We actually have some endangered species here in Monterey Bay that live nowhere else. So because we have a lot of different ocean life, these waters that we're on are actually protected as a national marine sanctuary. We're on the waters of the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, which is kind of like a state park or national forest on land. These waters are protected from human activities that would cause a lot of harm to the unique animals and plants that make the Monterey Bay their home. We also have tons and tons of kelp forest, which is a very unique, awesome ecosystem that we will spend more time talking about.
My name is James. Why is the kelp forest so important?
So just like we have forests on land, we have a kelp forest under the ocean water. It's our most important ecosystem here in Monterey Bay because it provides two very important things for the animals that live in the kelp forests. Food and shelter are very important to animals, and the kelp forest offers both of those things. So we're going to talk about the kelp forest because it is our ecosystem in Monterey Bay that one has the most life. Over 1,000 living animals can live on one kelp plant. It's pretty amazing. It also has endangered species that live there and nowhere else, like the sea otter that we'll talk about in a little bit. This is the holdfast, the bottom part of the kelp. This is basically its root structure. It has a holdfast instead of roots. This anchors the kelp onto rocks on the ocean bottom. And this is an awesome small habitat for small animals like marine worms, or a great place for fish to lay their eggs. You might notice as I pass this around, there's lots of little nooks and crannies for an animal to hide, to find protection, to find shelter. There are unique animals that live only at the bottom of the kelp forest. Animals like abalone, sea urchins, cabezon fish. Towards the surface of the water, you might notice a school of blue rockfish halfway up the kelp forest. You might notice a kelp crab walking around the leaves of the kelp, maybe 40 feet up the kelp plant. And then up at the canopy of the kelp forest, where the kelp hits the surface of the ocean, is the home of the sea otter. Okay, one more big one. Okay, you guys can drop the line. Good job, guys.
Hi, my name is Tyree, and my question is, what is the big deal with protecting sea otters? Is it just because they're cute?
This is the food of the sea urchin. Now, do I want to take a bite of this animal?
No. The shark, maybe.
That would hurt. These guys are really slow. They move as slow as a snail. They're not able to run away from their predators. So they have spines for their protection, and because of their spines, they actually have very, very few predators, the ones that live here in Monterey Bay.
Sea otters eat them.
You can say that a little louder.
Sea otters eat them.
So the main predator of the sea urchin is the sea otter. Now, if you guys imagined if the sea urchins had no predators, what might happen to the kelp forest if the sea urchins eat that holdfast from the kelp plant? Their populations would get really big and they would actually wipe out the kelp forest. And they clear-cut kelp forest by eating the bottom part of the kelp plant. The rest of that kelp plant, this part, it ends up just drifting out to sea or onto a beach. And there's no longer that unique habitat, that awesome protection and food for all the other fish and sea stars and sea cucumbers and sea snails and sea slugs that make that their home. Instead, there's a barren area filled with urchins. It's called an urchin barren. So why sea otters are so important for Monterey Bay is that they actually protect the kelp forest environment by eating sea urchins. So I know sea otters are cute, but they're actually really important animals. We call them a keystone predator. Keystone predator is basically the top predator in an ecosystem that keeps that environment healthy. So sea otters actually keep this whole ecosystem in balance, keeps it healthy, which is really important for all the other animals that make their home in the Monterey Bay.
Hello, my name is Lucas. What can people do to protect the ocean environment?
Anything on our roads goes with that rainwater through the storm drain and out to sea. Cars drip out little bits of oil on our roadways every day. And oil does not decompose. It's really harmful for ocean animals. Cars burn gasoline, chemicals and soot go up into our atmosphere, and also our power plants that make our electricity. This is a water sample that someone brought back for us from the edge of the Pacific garbage patch. Those teeny tiny specks you see in there are actually pieces of plastic. Seabirds, fish, they don't have better eyesight than we do. They see these little specks and they think food, and they eat these pieces of plastic. Most of the time, the plastic that's killing ocean animals are these tiny pieces. Make it rain. Any ideas of things that we can do in our everyday lives that will help the ocean? It's how we live on land that really can affect our oceans. As you saw, all this pollution comes from land, right?
Recycle.
Recycle! Yeah, hopefully at school or at home, you guys all have one of these, right?
A blue
recycling can. Using reusable water bottles makes a huge dent on all that plastic that may end up out in the ocean. Say it was the weekend and you're going to the beach to play with your friends. And you end up on a beach where there's a lot of trash, tons of trash. Well, you're there to play, you're not there to pick up trash, maybe you don't have time. And it might be a little overwhelming to see a lot of trash. You might think like, oh, well, I'm not going to deal with this. It's too much, it won't make a difference. Would it make a difference if you picked up one piece?
Yes.
What if you made a commitment to pick up one piece of trash once a week? Is that hard to do?
No.
Super easy to do. That's my commitment to myself. I try to do more than that, but just picking up one piece of trash once a week
Imagine how many pieces of trash that would be if you guys lived to 100 years old. That would make a difference over time, right? Yeah. So picking up trash, you might think, oh, this won't really make a difference, but it really does.
To learn more about our program, please go to o'neillseaodyssey.org. That's o'neillseaodyssey.org. This virtual O'Neill Sea Odyssey field trip is made possible by the Community Foundation for Monterey County, Team O'Neill and O'Neill Yacht Charters, and Joyce Anderson Productions. Thank you.